Imagine waking up tomorrow, and every single person you know is gone. Not dead, not fled, just gone. No footprints, no packed bags, no goodbye notes. Just empty houses, cold fires, meals still on the table. That is not a horror movie plot. That is what fur trapper Joe Labelle discovered deep in the Canadian wilderness in November of 1930. And to this day, no one has ever explained it. The place, Anjikuni Lake, northern Canada. What is now Nunavut territory. One of the most remote locations on Earth. Frozen tundra stretching for hundreds of miles in every direction. No roads, no phone lines, no way in or out except by foot or dog sled. A small community of Inuit hunters and fishermen had called this place home for generations. Tough people, survivors, people who knew the Arctic wilderness better than anyone alive. Joe Labelle knew them personally. He was an experienced fur trapper who passed through the village regularly, always welcomed with a warm fire and a friendly face. So when he arrived that dark November evening, he expected the usual greeting. What he found would follow him to his grave. The village was silent, not the peaceful silence of sleep, the wrong kind of silence. Labelle moved from dwelling to dwelling, calling out, getting nothing back. Empty, empty, empty. 30 to 40 people had lived here. Men, women, children, elders, every single one of them gone. And here is where it becomes truly disturbing. Inside the huts, food was still warm over fires that had barely gone cold. Rifles, the single most important tool for survival in the Arctic, were still leaning against the walls, untouched. No Inuit hunter leaves his rifle. Not for anything. And the winter food supply, months of dried fish and meat, was still sitting in the stores, completely untouched. These were people who knew that the Arctic winter without food and weapons meant a slow, certain death. No amount of fear or panic would make them walk into that wilderness empty-handed. They hadn't run. They had simply vanished. Labelle made his way to the nearest telegraph station and contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. When the Mounties arrived, they confirmed everything and uncovered something even darker. The sled dogs. The village's dogs were found buried in snowdrifts just outside the settlement. Dead, starved. Which meant the village had been empty for weeks before Labelle arrived. Long enough for the dogs to die of hunger. Yet no neighboring community had seen a group of 30 or 40 Inuit people traveling anywhere. In the close-knit network of northern traders and trappers, a group that size doesn't just disappear without someone noticing. But there was one more thing, one detail that no investigation has ever satisfactorily explained. The burial ground. Every single grave had been opened. The remains of the ancestors, laid to rest under heavy stones, as was Inuit tradition, had been removed. Every last one. Whatever took the living from this village also came back for the dead. Over the decades, 4 main theories have emerged. Theory 1, migration. Some historians suggest the village simply relocated, following animal herds or responding to environmental pressure. But Inuit relocations don't work that way. You don't leave your weapons, you don't leave your food, and you certainly don't dig up your ancestors to bring their bones along on a hunting trip. Theory 2, foul play. Good outsiders have attacked and wiped out the community, then removed the graves to hide evidence. The Mounties found 0 signs of violence, no blood, no shell casings, no disturbed ground, consistent with the massacre. Nothing. Theory 3, disease or mass panic. A sudden illness, perhaps one effect in the mind, would theoretically cause a community to flee irrationally. But even in the depths of panic, they would have grabbed their rifles, their food, their children's supplies. The Arctic doesn't give second chances. Theory 4. Well, this is the one that gets whispered. For decades, UFO researchers have cited the Anjikuni case as one of the most compelling mass disappearance events on record. The untouched food, the abandoned weapons, the opened graves, the complete absence of any tracks leading away from the village. No evidence supports this theory. But here's the thing. No evidence supports any of the other theories either. There is one detail most retellings of this story leave out. When Joe Labelle stood alone in that empty village that night, surrounded by silence and darkness, he looked up, and he saw lights in the sky, moving lights, silent, hovering over the lake. Was he imagining things? Was it the aurora borealis? Fear playing tricks on an exhausted man? Maybe. But those same lights were reported by other trappers in the surrounding region during that same period, independently, without any contact with Labelle. And no one, not then, not since, has ever identified a source. The case was officially closed without a conclusion. The people of Anjikuni were never found. Somewhere beneath the ice and silence of northern Canada, an entire community, people with names, with histories, with children, simply ceased to exist one November night in 1930. And the question that haunted Joe Labelle for the rest of his life is the same one that haunts everyone who ever hears this story. What did they see? What was so overwhelming, so completely outside anything these hardened Arctic survivors had ever known, that it made them leave everything behind? We don't know. We may never know. And maybe that's exactly how someone wanted it.